My name is Tennyson Stead. This is the Eight Sided Blog, and I'd like to set some expectations about what people can actually expect from me on social media because I tend to post about a lot of the same kinds of things, and I imagine there's times when it starts to feel a little bit like I'm advertising stuff. I am an autistic person. I have special interests, and what that means is I hyperfixate on the things that I enjoy because when I'm involved in those things, I'm super effective at everything that I'm doing. And when I'm separated from those things, I'm not really useful. If I'm talking to people about the things that fascinate me on that sort of biological level, then I can go on, I can work with people. I don't get overstimulated, you know, even my brain injury symptoms, as such as they may be right now, are much easier to manage because I'm invested so deeply in what's going on that it makes the whole thing easier. If I'm not engaged in those topics of conversation, then it's I get overwhelmed very easily, and I start working my way towards a shutdown. I'll tune out so fast. I try not to, of course, but it's not a question of discipline. It really is, for anybody who's not neurodivergent, it's a biological thing, or neurology is biology. So there you go. So what are those things? What are we talking about here? Well, first and foremost, obviously show business, and by extension, eight-sided films. The reason why I'm making the movies I'm making, and the reason why I'm making them in the way that I'm making, is because I've been working in show business since I was 13 years old. Being autistic, I do make observations that other people tend not to make. I've noticed things about how this industry is run, and there's changes I can make to make things better. I'm invested in my contribution to show business and how I can strengthen our industry and strengthen our community. And when we're talking about quantum theory, or we're talking about the other productions that I'm invested in, or we're talking about the film finance methods, I can go on about literally any aspect of eight-sided films for hours without shutting up. And I've digested vast quantities of information, either to test or support my assumptions about this industry. And my opinions are strong, but I'm also constantly craving new information. So, if we're talking about how movies are made or how I'm making movies on social media, it's not because I'm trying to sell you on my methods or because I'm trying to sell you. I will try and sell you a movie ticket. Do not get me wrong. That day is coming, but I understand it's not here yet. And we're still talking about this stuff. And it's because that's what I have to contribute, and that's how I connect to people. And like I said, an extension of that is show business in general, and dramaturgy, and the production process, how movies are made, how productions are made, how shows are made, how show people work in terms of the habits that they build that make them effective. I love show people, and I connect to show people intuitively, probably because of my autism, probably because they know things and they exist in an environment and they exist in a mindset and in a system of habits that I can relate to and that make me comfortable and that energize me. You'll see me all the time offering messages of support to show people that are going through challenging times on Twitter, for example, and it's because I understand I can see how the problems that they're sharing might be affecting them in profound ways, and I want those people to feel heard. I want them to know that there's people out there who can relate to the things that they're saying. And you're gonna see, a lot of discussion from me, a lot of arguments, and a lot of discourse in general on issues related to the health of our industry. How do we impact the larger cultural situation that's going on in this country? I just did a video blog about that 2 video blogs ago or something, talking about how we create the culture and how important that is. And that's not just me validating my own investment in this industry. You understand? That's not just me gaslighting myself. That's me expressing the observations that make me enthusiastic and that help me function as a member of society. One of the other things you're going to hear me talk about a lot is Jump Rangers. And there's a bunch of reasons for that. And it is absolutely a special interest. Tabletop role-playing games have been something that I've been into since I was 12 or 13 years old. And there's been times, I would say, yes, where that was a special interest for me. I don't think it is necessarily right now. But Jump Rangers is me taking all the things that I did connect with about those games that I played when I was growing up and bringing them into the world in a way that makes them, I think, super relevant today, and that allows me to take all the things that I love about show business and to put those things in people's homes and in their hands, and to make dramatic structure and the process of drama accessible. Jump Rangers is my way of making sure kids get theater training, and that's part of it. Jump Rangers is my way of making sure that people remember to play, and that they find joy in space exploration, that they find joy in science, but more importantly, that they find joy in empowering themselves, and through drama, but also just by exploring their potential and by exploring what kids are capable of and by exploring their imaginations, So you're going to see me tweet a lot about Jump Rangers. You're going to see me talk about these characters and the things going on in this world. And to me, it's invigorating to give that to people. And I do want to see the project succeed, right? And I want to see it grow, and I want to see it expand, but it's not as ego-driven for me, at least, as it probably seems from the outside. It's not me sort of tooting my own horn. At least it doesn't feel that way. What it feels like to me is me sharing something super cool that I love that I actually just had to build before I could share it. On that subject, and on the subject of gaming, something that you're going to see me talk a lot about on social media that I didn't have to build is Star Citizen. I am in love with this game. I don't know if anybody out there's playing it, but if there's people in my audience who want to connect with me in a way that's sort of outside the realm of my professional interests, if you want to talk to me about something that's not 8-sided films, and if you want to talk to me about something that's not Jump Rangers related, and if you don't want a 20-minute lecture on dramaturgy, then probably there's two things. Talk to me about food, okay? Because I will always talk about food, and I will always talk about Star Citizen. And if people want to get to know me in a personal arena, then come find me in the game. Ask me how to get involved in. So I'm always happy to, go do space things with people. And, what I love about the game is that it's a cliche to say it, but it's so immersive. The world that is being built for people to participate in is vast in scope and extremely precise in detail. And those two things are just candy for my brain. It's sort of the brainchild of a guy named Chris Roberts, who, when I was young, was producing the Wing Commander games. And the Wing Commander games, for me, were my first real immersion in video games and what video games were capable of. I played the crap out of those games when I was in high school. And to see him have the opportunity and create the opportunity on an independent basis, by the way, this is going back to show business, on an independent basis, without a game publisher, to create a property and to be able to pull together the resources to invest coming up on $500 million in the world that he's building without support from a company like Electronic Arts or Activision or any of those big gaming companies it's a huge vindication of everything I'm trying to accomplish in my career. It's inspiring to me. And then to have that game be something that I love and that builds on the kind of same world building principles and interests and fetishes and fascinations that I have with the space exploration. And there's a whole lot of military science fiction going into Star Citizen. There's a lot of influence from movies like Aliens and Battlestar Galactica and all these kinds of highly procedural science fiction stories, which you already know I like, you know. Look, if you want to talk to me about person-to-person stuff, remember, I'm autistic. It's going to turn into a conversation about show business eventually, or a conversation about Jump Rangers. And if you don't want that, if you just want to talk to me one person to another, come find me in Star Citizen. My handle is Tecker10. I'm always happy to share my my referral code if people want to play. And let's go explore the galaxy. That for me is an easy way to relate to people in a social environment. So this is me opening up and kind of talking about my interests and my social landscape. I care about the world I live in. I care about social issues. And to be honest with you, we can talk about those social issues on Twitter. I do it all the time. I'm not going to sit down and let bad things happen to people and not do what I can to help. And at the same time, the primary thing that I can do to help is to improve our culture and to build a more supportive culture for people to share. And I'm working on it every single day, and the same thing is true when it comes to how I enrich people's lives on a case-by-case basis. If I want to make someone happy, if I want to inspire someone, if I want to challenge someone, if I want to delight someone, I'm going to sell them a movie ticket. Because to me, that's the best of me. Anyway, thank you for watching these videos. If you like what you're getting out of them, please be sure to click thumbs up. Please make sure to click subscribe and click the little bell so you get your alerts when the next video becomes available. And thank you for showing up to the 8-Sided Blog. Have a good week.